in the room when the Wimbledon kit reveal drops. Eala has been a Nike athlete since 2019. That relationship has never been particularly loud until late 2025, when Nike flew her to Beaverton, Oregon, and commissioned the Sampaguita collection, a bespoke Nike by You line built around the Philippines' national flower, complete with a hair accessory shaped like the bloom itself. She posted the visit on Instagram, always a blast with my Nike fam. And at the time, most of the tennis media filed it away as a nice brand moment. It was not a nice brand moment. It was Nike making a decision. The same design team that flew Eala to headquarters was not producing anything remotely custom for the player ranked #1 in the world. And when Roland Garros 2026 arrived, those two parallel tracks collided in the most public way possible. The complaint came first, and it came from Sabalenka herself. On November 11th, 2025, in an on-camera promotional clip, the world #1 said, "People loved it, which is important, and yeah, unfortunately, next season, it's not going to be that special for me." She paused, then added, reportedly with something between a laugh and a sigh, "Maybe we should send messages to Nike, put pressure on them." To be fair to Sabalenka, the frustration was earned. The world #1 was not demanding a private jet or a vanity perfume line. She wanted what every #1 in CIS sports history has received from its major sponsors: the assurance that her kit was hers, that the dress she debuted on the biggest courts in the world had not already been shipped to a player 87 ranking spots below her. That assurance, apparently, was not in her contract. And so when Roland Garros opened on the red clay of Paris in May 2026, the world showed up wearing Nike's clay ballet crimson onesie. The dress her marketing team had positioned as her custom RG look. On May 24, Russian world number 88 Oksana Selskmeteva stepped onto a Roland Garros practice court wearing the exact same dress, the same color, the same silhouette, the same kit. A viral post from ex-user @Alfarola captured the moment precisely. Why they gave Sabalenka's custom kit to Oksana Selskmeteva. Hello? Who even is that? 317,000 views in under 48 hours. The answer to that question is the entire story. Pull back to the other side of the Paris draw, and the contrast becomes almost cinematic. Alex Eala arrived at Roland Garros 2026 wearing a Barbie pink Nike kit, photographed, captioned, and reposted across Filipino fan accounts under the hashtag #PrettyInPink before her first ball had been struck. Her IG caption that week read simply, "On Wednesdays we wear pink." No press release, no brand talking points. Just a 20-year-old in pink and a fan base that collectively lost its mind. The Sampaguita collection, Nike's custom by You line designed specifically for Eala during her Oregon headquarters visit, had already done its damage by then. Reportedly sold out globally within roughly 60 seconds of its release, the Nike by You Full in Bloom Sampaguita tee was listed as no longer available on Nike.com within hours. eBay listings followed within days, resellers marking up a drop that Nike's own platform could no longer fulfill. Sabalenka's clay ballet dress, per hard court reporting, also sold briskly, but it was selling as a mass-market retail item, the same swan Oksana Selskmeteva was already wearing at practice. Kit moved as a collectible, one moved as sportswear. Now set those two facts side by side. Monday, Sabalenka goes on camera asking fans to pressure Nike on her behalf. Tuesday, Eala's limited Sampaguita drop vanishes from shelves across the Asia-Pacific. Those are not separate stories. That is a brand telling you exactly where it has placed its bets. The pattern goes deeper than one tournament cycle. In late 2025, Nike's contract with Eala produce a bespoke cultural product, custom design, custom rollout, custom marketing. Sabalenka's contract, per hardcourt reporting, sourced to people directly familiar with the negotiations, does not currently include those same provisions. The world no. One does not have royalty rights to her kit sales. She does not have an exclusivity clause preventing retail distribution before she steps on court. She does not have the commercial architecture that Naomi Osaka has, and that, per the same sourcing, Nike has formally decided it will never offer again. The Osaka contract is a closed chapter. No current athlete is getting that deal. And Sabalenka somehow finished 2025 ranked first in the world without the protections that Sharapova was given a decade and a half ago. That Sharapova precedent matters. In January 2008, Daniela Hantuchova wore the Nike dress Sharapova had been set to debut at the Australian Open. The fallout was immediate. Sharapova's team had the contract rewritten. From that point on, none of her kits went on sale until she personally walked onto court. The dress was hers until she chose to share it. Sabalenka watched the same scenario play out 17 years later in Paris, the difference being that Sharapova had the leverage to fix it, and the world number one of 2026 does not. Then came June 3. Sabalenka walked into her Roland Garros quarterfinal against Diana Schneider as the defending champion and the tournament favorite. She won the first set 6-3. Then the second set went to a tiebreak. She let it slip, and whatever thread was holding her together snapped. The final set, 0-6. She dropped the last 10 games of the match consecutively, conceding without winning a single game from 1-1 in the third. In the post-match press conference, she sat in front of the cameras, voice flat, and said, "Just want to quit tennis right now, but we'll see in a few days. Hopefully I'll get back on track, mentally." Roland Garros' own official site described her as having gone into a dark place. In the same Paris draw, the Filipina in the pink kit was still being photographed by fans outside the stadium. The people who saw this coming, who watched Eala in Dubai in February, who tracked the Oregon visit, pre-ordered the Sampaguita tee the moment it dropped. Those people were not surprised. They recognized what Nike already knew. The scoreboard ranks players. The sellout clock ranks brands. Jessica Schiffer has covered the business of tennis fashion for the better part of a decade, reporting from inside the tour for outlets including Hardcourt, Vogue, and Business of Fashion. She is not a fan blogger. She is not a Reddit commenter. She is the journalist who was in Paris in May 2026 with sources inside Nike's account management, and what she reported should be required reading for anyone trying to understand what is actually happening inside women's tennis's most powerful peril relationship. Schiffer reported directly from a source familiar with Sabalenka and Nike's negotiations. Most players would love to have their outfit sold at retail, and she wants fans copying what she wears. That's the whole point of sports marketing. Read that twice. A source inside the machinery of Sabalenka's own sponsorship world is explaining patiently why the world no. One's frustration is commercially understandable and commercially irrelevant. The whole point of sports marketing is mass distribution. Sabalenka wants exclusivity. Nike wants volume. Those two things cannot coexist inside a standard athlete contract, and Sabalenka signed a standard contract. Schiffer added in the same piece, Sabalenka's contract does not currently include those same provisions, though a source familiar with the discussions tells me her team is pushing Nike to adjust it so it's more in line with her ranking and fandom. Her team is pushing. Nike has not yet moved. And while those negotiations drag on, a 20-year-old on a different tier of the same roster is outpacing the number one in the metric the brand actually cares about: sell-through speed. This is larger than one kit controversy, and Nike's internal accounting knows it. The brand's tennis women's roster is contracting in real time. Iga Swiatek signed with On Running. Coco Gauff moved to New Balance. Madison Keys is with Adidas. Mira Andreeva is with Adidas. Emma Raducanu has reportedly been in discussions with Uniqlo. The list of elite women's tennis players who chose to leave Nike or never signed in the first place is growing every renewal cycle, and the players staying are doing so under contracts that increasingly favor Nike's terms over the athletes. Into that landscape, Nike chose Eala, not as a charity case, not as a diversity footnote, as a commercial thesis that a 20-year-old Filipina with a national fan base capable of emptying a digital storefront in 60 seconds represents the brand's growth market for the next decade. Southeast Asia, the diaspora, a demographic that will queue for a Sampaguita tea at 3 a.m. Because it is not just apparel, it is recognition. Every Filipino fan who held that tea understood that Eala's face on a Nike product meant something their parents' generation never got to see. That is the market Nike is courting. And it is a market the world knows. One's ranking alone cannot access. Sabalenka's Nike contract reportedly expires at the end of 2026. The conversation about its renewal or its replacement will happen in the shadow of a Roland Garros QF exit, a public complaint about kit quality, and a 60-second sellout from her teammate that Nike will cite in every future negotiation. Watch the Wimbledon kit reveal window in late June. Watch what Eala wears at Queen's Club, where she is confirmed in the WTA player field. Watch whether Sabalenka gets something designed for her specifically, or whether she steps onto the All England Club grass in a dress that is already available in every size at Nike.com. Those moments will tell you everything about where the negotiations stand. 6 days before she stepped onto Court Philippe Chatrier in that pink kit and dismantled the number 6 seed, Eala was walking off a court in Strasbourg, having lost in straight sets in the first round. A 6-3, 5-7, 3-6 defeat to a Ukrainian opponent. Not a close loss, not a retirement. A straight loss in her final warm-up before Roland Garros. She did not comment extensively on the Strasbourg defeat. What she did 5 days later was walk out in Paris and beat Jasmine Paolini 6-1, 7-6-5, the third top 10 win of her career, in front of cameras that immediately sent the images to every Filipino fan account on the planet. In the post-match press room at Roland Garros, she was asked about expectations, about pressure, about ranking. She said, "You see me, and you don't expect that I'm going to come up, and I really suck at all other sports." A Strasbourg loss on Monday. Top 10 upset in Paris on Saturday, in the pink kit, for the brand that was flying her to Oregon while the world number one campaigned on Instagram. The clay ballet dress on Oksana Selekmateva's back before Sabalenka wore it herself. The Sampaguita tee gone from shelves before most of the world finished reading the notification. Sabalenka in the Paris press room saying she wants to quit tennis. In the same week, in the same tournament, in the same brand as Eala in pink being shared across thousands of Filipino phones at midnight. What this story proved is that one ranking is not the same thing as the number one position inside a sponsor's marketing calendar. Sabalenka earned her ranking on court. She has not earned, or more accurately, has not yet been given the commercial infrastructure to match it. That is partly Nike's failure, partly a structural decision made when Fizanati walked out the door in 2021, and partly a negotiation that has not yet resolved. But the consequences are playing out in public, in real time, in Paris. The people who have been watching Eala for the past 2 years, who followed the Oregon visit, who tracked the Sampaguita drop, who stayed up for the Paolini match in the pink kit, they did not need this script to tell them it was coming. They already knew that Nike's investment in her was not a marketing line item.